Hello, everyone. It's Cassandra Williamson with the Transgender and Diverse Veterans of America Action Group, and that is primarily where I spend most of my time, and my hair is all frizzy again. I can't seem to get the frizz out. Any suggestions? So today we want to talk about building a movement. We're going to hit a few news stories too, though, and I'm kind of tie into a few things where we've already seen how movements are built, and how we get them motivated and moving. Well, this is that time, folks, when we need to be moving along. We need to get our people energized and organized and moving, because there's so many things that are coming out there to absolutely take away from the rights that we have been guaranteed, the blessings of liberty for all of Americans, and it's under threat and attack. If you don't believe it, well, you need to figure out how to describe things like, I don't know, Project 2025 that the Heritage Foundation is putting out there. They've got 80 plus organizations supporting this thing and making it happen. Their narrative, they built up this whole cadre of people to write, and contribute to this Project 2025. They released the book in 2023, this year, copyright 2023, from the Heritage Foundation, at 214 Massachusetts Avenue Northeast in Washington, D.C. So what am I going to have to do to get people to come and stand with me, to be with me and stand behind this effort to make sure that our voices are heard? We've got to do this now. We can't be sitting here and pretending that everything is just all right, that it's kumbaya, that, that this is not going to happen and all that kind of thing. Look at the tea leaves that are taking place in this country right now. Look at the tea leaves out there. You can actually figure this out, folks. Look at it. You've got an idiot over on the conservative side who is trying to be outdone by the other ones. You got somebody under indictment who is being supported and absolutely will take away and will win the nomination from his party over on that side. And these people are serious. If you haven't heard what Mr. Trump has been saying, he's using words like vermin and poisoning the blood, and he's repeating those things over and over and over again. You know where they came from? Fascist Nazi Germany, Hitler, Mein Kampf. Those are the terms used. Those are the words that were used. And obviously, the other one is the media. He's constantly harping on how bad the media is. It needs to be brought under control and all this kind of stuff. Well, that's one of the big things from fascism and Nazi Germany and any really fascist organization in the world. Control of the media, the ultra-nationalism, ultra-nationalism. It's all out there. All those things are there. I mean, he uses words like vermin and blood, poisoning the blood, and then going after attacking the media as being vile and all this stuff, and being manipulated by the nebulous left over here on the side. Those are all tactics used by Nazi Germany. And I read a little story earlier today where someone was saying, look, you could probably excuse it if maybe one time this showed up coming out of the conservative side of things. Maybe one time when it would show up, just saying the word, poisoning the blood and all this kind of stuff, and just said it one time, even though that is a dog whistle on the fascist side of things from Hitler, to repeat it constantly, to repeat it and keep going after that thing, it tells you who he is. To use words like vermin to describe the Jews, whereas here using vermin to describe immigrants. Okay. So we've got a serious issue with this man. He's following the playbook of Mein Kampf, Hitler, folks. If you don't like it, well, we need to start standing up now, because if we wait, then we're going to lose this thing. We're going to be in November of 2024, we're going to be looking at a fascist takeover of our government if we don't stop it now. And that's not hyperbole, folks. That is not hyperbole at all, period. It is not. And just to make that really clear, I mean, in 2003, Lawrence Britt wrote this. He did a study of about 6 or 7 fascist governments around the world. And he looked at, Mussolini and Hitler and Pinochet and several others. And he came up with 14 points that you could just check off a little box saying, if this is the case, this is the case, this is the case, this is the case. Well, let me tell you something. This thing that was produced by Heritage Foundation, it is theocratic fascism, authoritarian fascism. Theocratic, authoritarian fascism matches every single qualification that Lawrence Britt came up with in 2003. So go look it up. Just look up Lawrence Britt, B-R-I-T-T, and look for the 14 points of fascism, okay? Check it out, because this is exactly what they're pushing over on the left. I mean, over on the right. The right side is pushing this thing and pushing it and pushing it. Heritage, why is heritage such a big deal, folks? Why am I so concerned about heritage? Well, the Heritage Foundation has been around for 50 years. This year, 2023, they've been around 50 years. Formed in 1973. By 1980, when Reagan won the election in November of 1980, then took over in 1981, they handed off this document to Reagan called the Mandate for Leadership. It was the very first iteration of this thing, and Reagan had already bought into their principles, the conservative principles. They already knew. They were already there, So what they did was they handed this thing off to Reagan, and he implemented about 2/3 of it within the first 180 days. That was success, but not in the eyes of Heritage, where we have right now. They took that mandate for leadership from 1980, and they kept doing it every 4 years or so and put it out the same kind of stuff and all that kind of thing. Well, I'm going to tell you, the one for Project 2025, the Project 2025 Mandate for Leadership, a Conservative Promise, produced by the Heritage Foundation, this thing is beautifully organized. It's well thought out. It's very detailed, with detailed actions to take place in every office in the executive branch of the U.S. government. And what they will ostensibly tell you is that this is about shrinking the administrative state of the U.S. government, shrinking that, and making it smaller so that the all-powerful new president will be able to go in there and go, look, this, oh, let's do that, just change this. But the first thing that new president will have to do, if they're a conservative, is actually implement what's known as Schedule F. If you haven't heard about Schedule F, it's something Trump did at the end of his last administration. And it basically makes all of the federal employees at-will employees, meaning they can be fired at will and hired at will. And if you don't get congressional approval or Senate approval for some of the higher ranking positions, and this is talked about in Project 2025, if you don't get that instant approval that you want for your cabinet level officers and stuff like that across the whole of the executive branch, well, then you just put somebody in there in the acting capacity. That's something that Trump did. That's something that, Biden has done it too. But you can put somebody in there in acting capacity. They can do the job, even though they haven't been confirmed by the Senate. So that's one of the ways around it. But you have to get that Schedule F thing in there so they can clean house, get all of the experienced and knowledgeable and practical people who know what each of those agencies and offices are supposed to be doing. I can think of some. Let's take an extreme like Department of Energy, the Nuclear Regulatory Agency. Let's say you want a political appointee in that office running that thing, but then you put in Uncle Joe's third cousin from the fourth branch of the tree that's really more like a totem pole rather than a family tree. You put them in there and go, hey, this is yours, take it. You took care of me, you helped me get elected, so here's this department, you run it. It's a spoils system, basically. It's a spoils system. Whoever wins gets to put in people they want, and hell with the experts who know what they're doing, trained in those fields, who have been working in those fields for years, who know what it actually takes to do regulation of nuclear energy, or has actually worked out on the farm maybe, and knows actually how to do the agriculture side of things. Actually has some knowledge, experience, not just somebody on the corner who donated $100,000 and you're giving them that position. Well, that's what Schedule F will enable this president to do. Whoever that is, that's what they're going to do. So what do we have to do about this? How are we going to do something to get moving on this? We can't continue to sit around and pretend that nothing's going on, folks. Heritage is dangerous. Now, their new president, Kevin Roberts, Dr. Kevin Roberts, who is from Texas, who ran a version of Heritage down in Texas, is now the president of the Heritage Foundation. He has taken this thing and turned it around. It used to be just like a policy think tank kind of thing. They put this stuff out there, and it had lots of academic cred behind it and all this. Well, when Roberts came in, they turned it into a much more focused advocacy side of things. Heritage has two components. You got Heritage Foundation and Heritage Action for America. That action group side is the same thing for the side that like I'm doing here with TDVA. This is our action group side that I'm speaking from. Okay. So having said all of that, let's roll the intro. Okay, so welcome back again. This is Cassandra Williamson, and please pay attention to that little disclaimer at the bottom of the screen down there, okay? The opinions expressed here are solely mine and mine alone. They do not necessarily reflect those of any particular organization, agency, government, group of people, or Joe Schmo, wherever they might be. So these are my opinions. And if you're under the age of 18, go away. This is not for you. Now, you can also reach me at the office. You can catch that email address that goes by down through there at the bottom of all this. So what we've got to start focusing on is how to get people energized and motivated to get out there and do something, to stand with me, to make sure that we are putting the focus on these organizations that want to do away with us. Now, why? Why is it so important to do that, to focus on those things? Well, first off, they don't want to talk to us. They don't want to talk to me as a veteran. They don't want to talk to me as a transgender person who is a veteran, or as, I'm also a parent and a grandparent. They don't want to talk to me from that perspective, because I do not represent the narrative that they want to present to the right, who reads all that crap over on the right-hand side media stuff. I don't fit that narrative. I have tried and tried and tried to reach out to Heritage Foundation to talk with Dr. Roberts. I've even been there, walked in, said hi, talked to the receptionist, tried to get him to talk with me for a minute or two. But no, he wasn't available. After a 5-minute wait, they finally said, "Oh, he's not available today." Okay, then, whatever. I've tried to get people like Christopher Rufo to talk to me, or anyone over there in these talking heads over on the far right. No, they're not acknowledging my existence whatsoever. I even reached out to the New College of Florida, where we had, there was supposed to be, they wanted to do a panel on gender discussions, okay, after DeSantis cleaned the whole board out and put in all of his acolytes in there and sycophants. He put all those people in there. Christopher Rufo's on that board. So is Ryan Anderson, another person at Heritage, who has been just vehemently against anything to do with LGBT people, especially the transgender part of all of that. Absolutely wrote some garbage science out there and then also Anderson was at one time within the past couple of years the president of this ethics and government organization, and it's basically trying to help reshape the legal landscape in this country, or the foundations of this country, back to Judeo-Christian views. And that's said on their website, folks. Can't see the writing on the wall. I mean, they've got all these organizations who are supporting Heritage, like Alliance Defending Freedom. Let's see, what is the other one? There's about 80 of them, about 80. You got America First Legal, that's the Stephen Miller's baby right there. The person who is just anti-immigrant, period, wants to shut the border down. That guy right there, that's Stephen Miller. He's one of the co-founders for America First Legal. And then you've got also the Eagle Forum in there. You've got all of these different groups. What's the other one? Family Research Council. All of these groups that just they get all wheezy and all this stuff when you talk about transgender people and LGBT people, or any minority for that matter. What they say is they want to create a colorblind society, but no, that's not what they're trying to do. what they're trying to do is make it minority blind. And that's stated very clearly in the foreword that Dr. Roberts wrote to this Project 2025 thing. So we have got to be moving in this direction. We need to build a movement. It's going to take a lot of collaboration, a lot of effort from all of us standing shoulder to shoulder to be heard and seen. And it's on our veterans who happen to be in these communities to actually lead this and go, because they're not talking to us. And so we can use that as leverage. We got to go stand up there in front of Heritage. You got to stand in front of the VA, as a matter of fact, sometimes too, because we're still expecting that care that they had said that they were going to give to the veterans because we all served, right? But yet we're going to have to go do something. And we're going to have to kick it in, folks, because this time is running out on this. We've got to build the movement. We've got to build, bring in collaborators. And we've got to stir it up. You've got to go out there and actually do something to be seen and heard that's not violent, that is not, derogatory. These people, let me make it very clear. These people are Americans just as we are. You cannot deny them the blessings of liberty at the same time as we're trying to protect our own. You can't do that. You can't shut it down. You can't call them anti-American or anything like that, because they're not. They're Americans. They're entitled to their ideological views. The challenge occurs whenever you try to shove all the minorities in this whole country under the rug in the back closet and then under the floorboards in the back of the closet. Okay. You're trying to shove all these people out of the way so you can't see them, and you can go, oh, I don't see anybody. I don't see anyone. Oh no, we have no minorities in this country. Oh, there's no transgender people here in this country. We can't see them. Oh, that's what Roberts and the Heritage Foundation want to do, folks. And they have the influence to do it. If they get in the White House, if any of those conservatives running for president get and win, they've already agreed to do this. They're already on board with the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025. There'll be some, wrestling back and forth as to what it is, but Project 2025, folks, has a training academy, has a 180-day playbook. It's got the policy. It's got the personnel database. They want to step in on day one and hand off all of that to that conservative president and say, here you go. We've done the work for you. You don't have to waste any time doing it. Just take this list and go for it. They've set aside $22 million to make this happen. And I've been through every chapter in Project 2025. Previous episodes of this program, you can go back and look. It's over on YouTube. Primarily, you can check them out there. Go check it out. You can find them. Listen to them, because I did the forward, one show on that. And then section 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, each one of the sections with all the chapters in there, including the one that has Department of Veterans Affairs and all that stuff. It's in there. I did a word search in all of it. Every single chapter. Looking for things like, sex, gender, woke, social, ESG, which stands for environmental, social, and governance, DE&I, diversity, equity, inclusion, those things. Just do a search for those words, or type in things about faith. Go check for yourself. If you type in something about faith, you'll find or type in the word, just type in God. It shows up a few times in there. This document and the Heritage Foundation and the organizations that support it, this is theocratic fascism in the extreme, folks. This is theocratic authoritarian fascism. And there's only one person over on the right who actually has the balls to say, look, I'm a theocratic fascist. You know who that is? Matt Walsh. Go check out his Twitter profile. Matt Walsh knows that that's what his beliefs are. And so he's not afraid to say it. These other groups over here, they don't want you to think of them as being fascist, but they are. Okay. And just go down that list with Lawrence Britt. Check it out. It's there. Some horrendous stuff in this thing, people. And we've got to stand up and fight against it. We have to go do something. If we have to go stand in front of the Heritage Foundation's office, with a sign that says, they aren't talking to veterans. This organization doesn't believe in all veterans should be treated fairly and equally. That all veterans, no, they don't. Minority veterans, LGBTQ plus veterans, no, they don't. They don't think you have a right to even be seen publicly. They don't think the First Amendment applies to you. Check it out. It's in that. It says that in the foreword, folks. And if we're sitting back here doing nothing, well, look, tonight, a group of our team over on the Action Group side are developing a strategy that we can actually take to the streets and say, come and join us. Come and be part of this, because we've got to start doing something now. It's almost too late. And I'm not being hyperbolic. I am definitely concerned because this is horrendous. This is horrendous what they want to do. We cannot let them do that. Okay? Cannot let them do it. With that, let's call it a day. Okay? And we'll just do an outro right now. Have a great evening. See you tomorrow.